Master Your Mindset Radio, Episode 19.
Welcome to Master Your Mindset Radio, the show where we empower you to conquer limiting beliefs and transform your world with your gifting and purpose. Now for your host, Elizabeth Nader.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Master Your Mindset Radio. I was off last week for Christmas Eve, so I'm happy to be back. And today in my Facebook group, Master Your Mindset Academy, I teased you a little bit about what today's podcast episode was on, and we talked about moving from success to significance. That's what I want to talk to you about today. And by the way, if you're not a member of that Facebook group, definitely look to join it. At the end of the podcast, it'll tell you how to do that. It's a free group with a lot of fun things that go on during the week and a weekly video from me to encourage you. And so much will be announced this year through that group. So definitely join. If you're not a Facebook person, then head over to my website, elizabethnader.com, and you can download a free chapter of my book or do some other things on that site that allow you to interact with me and give me your email address so I can keep you up to date on everything and send you my Monday motivation messages via email. So there's always a way to stay in touch, and definitely through Twitter and Instagram as well. So website has all of that. But today, we want to talk about moving from success to significance. I think this is a really great topic right now because it's New Year's and everybody's talking about goals and dreams and aspirations and setting resolutions and what they're going to change. And all that stuff is great. I think a lot of it should happen throughout the year, but we tend to, as humans, do all of this around New Year's because we're into fresh starts, and I get that. But as you think about all of that, I want to add a layer to it. I want you to think about defining your goals, defining your dreams, defining your resolutions in terms of significance rather than success. What do I mean by that? Well, when we measure success, there are certain metrics that we use in the world to say, hey, I succeeded at this, or if I set this goal with these metrics, then I've done well and I've succeeded. So a measure of success really focuses on us. Our eyes are on ourselves and what we've done, what we've been able to do. But when we add the measure of and the metric of significance to something, it changes it completely. It really is a step beyond success. Why? Because significance is about whether or not we made an impact in our world. So it's one thing to achieve and succeed, which is all about us. It's a whole nother thing to be significant, which is about other people. Success, eyes on yourself. Significance, eyes outward and on your world and your ability to change your world. It really does change our focus. Now, let me give you some background on why this is important to me and why it really has affected the way I look at things. I think it was, I know it was 2018, I believe in February 2018, that Billy Graham died. Now, most of you know who he is. You don't even need to be in the Christian faith usually to know his name because he had a major impact on this world. And a lot of people would recognize the name Billy Graham, and he died in February 2018. So I had a chance to take my kids en route to Florida. I thought, you know what, we're going to drive this year, which was a nightmare, but whatever. Anyway, I wanted to stop in Charlotte, North Carolina, kind of halfway, and stop and see the Billy Graham Library. Had never gone, had seen pictures, and I thought, wow, this is really a time to go there. He had just passed, and I think that's a big deal that he had passed, and I wanted to let them see what it looks like there and be involved in all of that and understand this man as they could in history. So we went, and it was incredible. They have this beautiful house he grew up in that's there on the property, and this gorgeous library. You walk through it, and it's the sights and sounds of all the things that he did in his life and all the people he impacted. And it's quite unbelievable and overwhelming. And at the end, we walked outside and walked to a quiet place where he's buried next to his wife, Ruth. And we stood there looking at their gravestones and just in, real quiet and serene location. And in my heart, I just said to God, you know what? I want to be a person of significance, not just success. And it was sort of this moment I had where it stuck with me. It's almost like something that changed me forever, that I said significance is what I reach for, not success. Because he was such a man of significance. I mean, really, when you think about what he had done, it's not what he succeeded in, it's how many lives he affected. I mean, we're talking hundreds of thousands, millions of lives. Very much a man of significance. But it's not the numbers. It's the fact that he walked in his purpose. And had he only changed one person's life with his purpose, it still would have been significant. So that really struck me, that moment, standing there at his graveside thinking, that's what it's all about. And at that time, I had been thinking a lot about purpose and the definition of purpose and what it meant. And to me, I've always realized that purpose ultimately boils down to the fact that you affect at least one person for the better, that you make someone else's life here easier. And that really is a definition at the very purest form of purpose. And so there's a man who definitely walked out his purpose. But this is something that for some reason at that moment in time became more urgent for me. And by the way, I have to share this with you just as a cute side note. I'm standing there looking at his grave marker, and next to it, of course, is his wife, Ruth, and she had died like 11 years before. And after the dates on her grave marker, it said, construction completed. Thank you for your patience. I thought, what is that? What is that? I've never seen anything like that on a gravestone. So I did some research and I found a video of her son, Franklin Graham, and he said that at some point on a highway, she had driven by a sign that said that exact thing, construction complete and thank you for your patience. And she got a kick out of it. So she put it on her marker. And think about how profound that is. I mean, it really is true, isn't it? That while we're here, we are constantly under construction. We're never completed. We're never perfected until we're gone. And so she made sort of a joke out of that, but it's quite profound that, yes, definitely we are all under construction and never stops until we are gone. So anyway, this impacted me, this whole idea that we should reach for significance, that significance was beyond success and more important than success. And then I started to think about my own life, and I started to think about the biggest impact in my life, my parents, and especially my father, who died at the young age of 51. I was only 23. And I thought about, wow, how true it is for his life as well. Here's a man who had only 51 years on this earth, and he was self-made, went from nothing to very successful, worked very hard. By every measure of success that the world has to offer, he would have checked all those boxes. But he did something bigger than that. He was significant. He impacted people around him in small ways, in big ways, in quiet ways. And I knew these stories, a few of them while he was alive. I sensed the significance of my father as his child. I knew I was always in the presence of someone who was bigger than life. But when he died at his funeral, a lot of people came because it was such a shock, of course, and he was so young. So many people came up to me, to my family, and people we didn't know, never seen before, and told us stories about what my father had done for them, whether it was something financial, whether it was an opportunity he afforded them, whether it was encouragement, whatever it was. And it was one story after the next. And I realized, wow, this is what significance is. And again, it's not the numbers, it's the fact that you affected someone else's life for the better. So this has always been sort of part of my DNA, but I think it all culminated when I was there at the Billy Graham Library, and it just became my heart's cry. So everything that I do, I think it's got to have significance. It's got to have significance. And it's not something that you force as much as something that you focus on. It's something that you look beyond success and you say, how does this goal that I have, how does it actually result in significance? Because every goal that we set, every dream that we have, yes, we can measure the success of it, but all of them can be significant. And if we focus correctly, all of them will be significant. So I can give you some simple examples. I have my good friend and my trainer who decided a couple of years ago to enter a bodybuilding contest. And after having 4 kids and she's not 20 anymore, it's a big thing for you to do that. And she did all the hard work. I mean, she did the diet, the exercise, all that stuff. I saw her transform herself. It was amazing to me. What a commitment in every way. But if you take success measures, you can check them off and say, she competed, she succeeded in everything she wanted to do, but it wasn't about that. It was about the significance of it. And she said to me, I am doing this so my children, my 4 children, realize, look at me and understand that when you set a goal, you can achieve it. That when you decide to do something, even at an age or a stage where it may seem much more difficult or impossible that you can achieve it. And so she set her mind to do this, not with just success in mind, but with significance in mind. And she did it. And she impacted those 4 little people who will always remember that lesson from their mother. So there's an example of setting a goal, achieving the goal, and being successful in that definition, but really looking for significance in it and having that be foremost in your mind, not the success of it. So look, it can apply to anything you do. If you want to start a business and you want it to be successful, of course, yes, there are success metrics. But if you think about it in a broader term and you say, I want to have this be significant, I want to be significant, then you think about all the families you can employ, the people that you can put on your payroll who will have a job, who can feed their families, who can change their families because they're employed by you, the customers you can help, the profit that you can turn and maybe reinvest in your community, whatever it is. There's always this layer of significance that's ahead of and above the layer and the metric of success. So when we look at our goals, our dreams, our hopes, our things that we set forward, in terms of the list of what we want to achieve, we need to add that layer of what is significant about it. And I feel like if we focus on that, the success comes. If we focus on reaching for the significance of it, the success comes. I mean, if you're somebody who's going back to school to become a teacher, let's say, you want to do that not just to be successful and get a job and check all those things, but you want to affect the lives of students. That is reaching for significance. If you are in a big corporation and you're reaching for that promotion that's going to allow you to manage 100 people, it's not just the success of that, it's the fact that you see the significance and how many lives you can impact in that manager's role. See, that's the layer above it. That's where you turn your eyes from yourself, and the metrics of success are all about what you can do, and you turn your eyes outward into the world around you, into your world, however big, however small that is, and you look at and focus on how you can have significance in that realm. And then I believe the success comes that much more easily. It happened to me the other day, and it struck me again. It's the same lesson time and time again, that purpose is all about making someone else's life easier. And so therefore that's significant, right? So I had an opportunity this fall to speak at a residence center for recovering addicts. It was a whole weekend and I loved it and it was great and they were so just wonderful and I loved pouring into these people. One of them during the sessions talked about how he felt so ashamed that he didn't have a high school degree, that he felt that he was illiterate, he felt that he wasn't enough, that he couldn't compete. And we discussed it and encouraged him to either change his mindset about that or go and get his degree. But one or the other, he had to do something because he couldn't stay with those toxic mindsets. Anyway, many, many weeks later, I just happened to see him at another venue. He came up to me out of the blue and he said, "Hey, guess what? I'm going back to get my GED." And I said, "Oh my gosh, that's great. I'm so excited for you." And he said, "You know what? It's because of you. I have to thank you." Now, I'm not telling you that story because I'm patting myself on the back, because that's not what it's about. If you're listening to all the words I've been saying, you know what I'm about to say is that was a moment of significance. It wasn't that, oh, you were successful in your talk, you were successful in whatever happened that weekend. It was that I had the ability to impact one life, make a change in one life, and encourage one person to do something. And that ultimately was significance. And is there anything better than that? Now, sometimes you'll never know. You may not know all the lives that you impact. You may not realize all of that. But if your prayer and desire is always that, let me be used to be significant, success will come through that. And then significance will happen. So I think that's what we put our eyes on in 2020. That's what we focus on. All the goals and the dreams and the aspirations are great. The measurements of success and the metrics that we use, that's all good. But let's put on the layer of significance. Let's reach for that. Let's be people of significance who change other people's lives. And don't be intimidated by that. You don't have to be in a position where you're famous, where you're wealthy, where you're the brightest, the smartest, the best looking, you're this. It's not about any of that. It's about operating well within the world that is around you, your world, and setting out to be successful, but more importantly, to be significant. And I'm telling you, when that happens, you will feel a level of fulfillment that I cannot describe. That is what I want for my life. I want it for my children's life. I want that for you. So let's reach for significance in 2020. Let's talk about it. We'll talk about it throughout the year, about what that means. Let's set goals and say, hey, what is the metric of success here? Okay, this is it. Well, what is the metric of significance? And let's layer it on top of that. It's life-changing. I love it, you guys. This is so fun for me to talk about. And because it's not just for you, it's for me too. Reaching beyond success to significance. And hey, by the way, if there's something holding you back from going to significance, between success and significance, there can be toxic mindsets. So that always plays a role, doesn't it? So if you think about how do I move from success to significance, you're going to have to think about what is holding me back. That's what it comes down to. If I can't do that easily, there may be a mindset that's holding you back. So that's where we start to uncover the limiting beliefs. So this all plays a role together with mindset, of course, right? Because everything comes back to that, at least in my world. So listen, guys, thanks for listening in. I love to talk to you guys. We'll be back next week. In the meantime, subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss it. Leave me a review if you could. That's so helpful. And don't forget to join the Facebook group. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter. And you guys pay attention because we are doing a special one-day mindset reset in northern New Jersey, probably at the end of March. All the details are not finalized yet, but it's going to be an exclusive event only for a certain number of people. So pay attention to when that comes out. Don't miss it. Sign up right away. More to come on that. That's just a teaser. Thanks for listening, you guys. Have a fabulous week. And oh yeah, Happy New Year. Let's be significant in 2020. God bless.
Thank you for listening to Master Your Mindset Radio. Before you go, if you want to be part of a free online community of like-minded individuals for support, resources, and inspiration as you conquer your limiting beliefs and pursue your purpose, go to elizabethnader.com/community. That's elizabethnader.com/community, or search for Master Your Mindset Academy private group on Facebook. Looking forward to seeing you online.